Hello guys, I have refused the new Jurassic Park movie, so I can react to this video with no spoilers. Sorry City, I couldn't react to your new video.
Hey everyone, it's City here, and
but I feel like you understand it, City.
Hey everyone, it's City here, and welcome back to another video. This being our first ever holiday themed video to date. And of course, you know what I'm talking about, it's Halloween. And one of my all-time favorite, if not my favorite Halloween movie has to be Monster House. I always watched it in school, and I always watched it when October came. So today, we will be putting Monster House's main villain against a verse, this being Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. Now unfortunately,
why?
Unfortunately, I am recording this video a little late. I will have to rush through a lot of this because I was working on a previous video that is going to come after this one. I decided to delay it so that I can upload this video more towards Halloween and not have two videos like one day apart. So pretty much just trying to give this video time to rest. But the reason I say this is because, long story short, I can't go through the whole entire verse because I wouldn't be able to upload this video in time. So instead, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take the top 5 strongest dinosaurs, in my opinion, in Jurassic Park or World and put them individually against Monster House.
So I'm assuming mammals, right?
And figure out who wins. And if they're not enough, then what we'll do is that we'll put all 5 of them against Monster House at the same time and then see how it goes. So sit back, relax, grab your soft drinks or against Monster House at the same time and then see how it goes. So sit back, relax, grab your soft drink so your voice doesn't blow out like mine, and let's get right to it. So, let's quickly go over how strong Monster House is. And given that it is a giant 2-story house, it actually has shown some impressive feats. For strength, she's able to uproot whole trees out of the ground like it's nothing. She's also able to do that while also simultaneously lifting a whole entire police car into the air like it's nothing, and pretty much just treat it like a ball. An average police car coming in at around 2 tons. While these are impressive, her most impressive one definitely has to be her being able to lift herself off the ground with just pure strength and seemingly break the seal that kept her down. And even though we don't actually get a weight of the house, I tried doing some research on the internet to see if there was an accurate calculation, and most of them said 40 to 80 tons. And just for the sake of this video, we'll just give it the high ball and say it's 80 tons. And keep in mind, she's also able to do this and walk at the same time. For speed, she is lacking. She has shown that she can be pretty fast in short bursts, like when she grabbed Mr. Nevercracker, and when she was attempting to grab Chowder. And did actually also show that her tree hands are actually very quick in the scene where she eats both cops. But for her travel speed, she is pretty lacking, because she did get outrun by Mr. Nevercracker and the kids, who are no athletes by any means. For durability, she is lacking, but she really does make up for it in endurance, because we saw that even if you—
why I'm not talking is I just don't remember this movie that well. I remember the meme and the old man meme. I really can't remember this movie.
Almost completely destroy her. She can rebuild herself and come back even stronger, which will be a huge advantage in this fight. IQ and battle IQ is a little weird. She doesn't really show anything in terms of battle IQ, but since it's explicitly shown that even though she is a house, she still has a human spirit in her, so she should be pretty smart, assuming of course that she still has her human thoughts and human brain power. And the last 2 categories that I'm going to talk about is her power and her abilities. Now her abilities are pretty straightforward. She's able to pretty much control anything in the house, and like we previously mentioned, she's able to rebuild herself even if almost everything is destroyed. For power, it is a little difficult to figure out, but she does have some pretty decent feats like effortlessly breaking trees, bashing some cement on the sidewalk, and even splitting a whole entire metal police car in half with just one—
Start got pause recording for a second. You know, City, I tried to make this video, but I couldn't, so if you ever run out of ideas, could you please do How Strong is Horton from Horton Hears the Hill?
One bite. And one thing that we can definitely safely assume is that since she is a giant 2-story house with oak trees on her arms, she probably could do something like destroy—
just gotta go into this one thing. Hello guys, let's get back, shall we? Let me just get one was here, right?
if almost everything is destroyed. For power, it is a little difficult to figure out, but she does have some pretty decent feats like effortlessly breaking trees, bashing some cement on the sidewalk, and even splitting a whole entire metal police car in half with just one bite. And one thing that we can definitely safely assume is that since she has a giant 2-story house with oak trees on her arms, she probably could do something like destroy a smaller house or even a medium house. So pretty impressive. Now we get into the dinosaurs. As we mentioned before, we're going to be picking 5 of the strongest dinosaurs in Jurassic Park and Jurassic World and putting them individually against Monster House. These 5 consist of the
obviously the
Rex, Lexi, the Giganotosaurus, the Spinosaurus, and the D-Rex.
Honestly, the T-Rex and the Gigan were kind of not as strong in my opinion, personally.
So let's start off with one of my favorites, the Spinosaurus. And again, these are in no particular order. The Spinosaurus has shown some pretty impressive things, such as easily breaking bars made out of metal, being able to track down humans pretty easily, being hit by a fucking plane and actually surviving, and of course killing the 2 T-Rexes.
Don't swear. Don't swear, city. For fuck's sake, don't swear! I'm joking. No hate.
If they weren't the strongest Rexes. And also it did endure some pretty good fire. But would this be enough to beat Monster House? Well, one thing we also have to mention about Monster House is its height. Now again, it's never stated how tall this thing is, but we do see that it is roughly about 3 times taller than the excavator that Chatter was in. And given that, I did try and find the height of that specific excavator, and if it was modeled after one in real life. But the internet just had to be the internet and was only really interested in me buying one, because why the hell not, right? But thankfully I found that most
of the time, who doesn't want to see City rise one of these? We all want to see it.
Around 10 to 15 feet tall, and multiplying that by 3 to 4, and the Monster House would be somewhere around 35 to 50 feet high. We can also see it's actually very, very tall in the scene where it picks up Chowder. And so the reason that I mentioned this is because I think that this
why the fuck is he wearing a cape? I really can't remember.
Dinosaurs can actually do some pretty decent damage to the house, considering it was able to break steel beams, so wood would pretty much be no issue. However, there's a very big problem with the Spinosaurus. Even though it can maybe destroy the first version,
I forgot to say that.
It's really that second stage that it's got to worry about, aka the version that's almost 50 feet tall. And with the furnace on top of its head, the Spinosaurus would really have no way of getting to it. And plus, the Spinosaurus probably wouldn't be intelligent enough to figure out that the furnace is actually her heart. Given this, it probably would resort back to just trying to smash her. But as we mentioned in Saw, it actually does have some quickness in her tree hands. And since the Spino is no speed demon, this would allow her to grab the Spinosaurus and lift it into the air pretty effortlessly, considering that she's pretty much 6 to 8 times as weight, and was able to do it to herself easily. And with this, the Monster House could kill the Spinosaurus 2 ways. One, it can just pull a Loki and Hulk and just keep smashing and beating it onto the ground until it gets knocked out or splattered. Or it can do the second option, which is what I think would happen, which is swallow this motherfucker. And if you think the Monster House
Jesus fucking Christ. Like, seriously, City, you have changed, my boy. Not because they changed for the worse, or not because they changed for the better, but god damn. So edgy! Like, if I power stood, I'm not gonna be like, this way Horton could fuck you up, asshole. Like, Jesus, just calm down much down before I go so, please.
Thing, let me remind you that the Monster House was able to swallow a whole fucking excavator made out of solid steel.
How much F-bombs are there? Jeez, man, I know it's Halloween, but where's the soap when you need one? No.
And digested like it was absolutely nothing. Shown by when DJ exploded it, we saw that the excavator was no more, proving that the Monster House didn't.
I don't hate City, just stop swearing as much. Okay, let's continue. Actually, just wait a minute. Okay, I'm back. Let's go finish this, everyone.
Fact, digest this thing. And if you're wondering, yes, the average excavator does weigh more than the Spinosaurus. In fact, some weigh way more. With around mid difficulty, because I do feel like the Spinosaurus would take out the first stage, Monster House moves on to the next opponent. Now we get into a dinosaur that I would argue is the most debated dinosaur in the whole entire Jurassic Park and world community, and that is the Giganotosaurus. Some people believe that this is the strongest dinosaur in the franchise, and some people believe that's extremely overrated, and some people even think it's fodder. But I got news for you guys.
I do think it's extremely overrated, personally.
It wouldn't matter. Even though the Giganotosaurus is pretty strong, and it did defeat Rexy, that was arguably at her strongest, unfortunately, it would suffer more or less the same fate as the Spinosaurus. In fact, it would actually be easier, considering that the Giganotosaurus is one of the slowest and stiffest dinosaurs in the whole entire Jurassic franchise. This would mean that the Monsterhouse would have an easy time picking it up and eating it just like the Spinosaurus. Now, that's not me saying that the Giganotosaurus is weaker than the Spinosaurus, or the opposite of that. It's just me saying that styles make fights, and even if you believe that the Giganotosaurus is stronger than the Spino, it wouldn't matter, since it does not have the speed to keep up with Monsterhouse and prevent it from being grabbed and swallowed whole. Now, like the Spino, I do believe that it would go through the first stage, since I don't really feel like the first stage is anything too special, and plus, the Monsterhouse really only showed the capability of swallowing things whole.
It's like whatever time. I don't know what to say personally.
The Monsterhouse really only showed the capability of swallowing things whole and digesting them in the second stage. Because as we saw, if the Monsterhouse swallows you in her first stage, you just go down to the basement and pretty much just stay there. Proven by that the cops were fine and the boyfriend was fine. But the excavator in the second stage was not. So with around low to mid difficulty, the Monsterhouse moves on to the next opponent. So coming here right in the middle, we have the most iconic dinosaur ever in the Jurassic franchise, the T-Rex, aka Rexy. Rexy has actually shown some things that would actually help her in this fight. She did show the capacity to easily destroy whole buildings in her fight with the Indominus Rex. And like I said, given that it was so easy, it would definitely be enough to easily take out the Monsterhouse's first stage. Now I do want to mention something real quick, and that's the reason that I said low to mid or mid diff for the others, is because there is a possibility of the Monsterhouse grabbing it with her tree hands in the first stage, and like I mentioned earlier, pulling a Loki and Hulk and continuously smashing it onto the ground. However, she would probably get a little too smashed up in the first stage and resort to her second stage and swallow them whole. And unfortunately for Rexy, she is no exception here. Not only is she arguably weaker than the Giganotosaurus, who we just mentioned, but she did get bigger in the later movies, which would allow the Monsterhouse to get a better shot, picking her up and swallowing her, or just dropping her in. So like the previous ones, with around mid difficulty, Monsterhouse moves on. Now stop, I know what you're thinking right now. What you're thinking right now is this just going to be the same thing every time? Well, not exactly, because the next thing I'm going to talk about actually might have a little bit of a different outcome than one might think, and that is the Indominus Rex. Now, the Indominus Rex arguably has the best on-screen feats out of any dinosaur. For example, taking a rocket launcher blast, being able to uproot a tree just by her tail smacking into it, tearing up multiple sauropods in the span of most likely less than a minute, and defeating Rexy pretty comfortably. And at this point, I think we already know her feat of destroying the aviary glass. That is actually very impressive. But does all this prevent her from suffering the same fate as the others? Well, she would, like the other three, take out the first stage pretty easily. In fact, even in the second stage, she would have a better time than the others, given that she's way more agilic. It would be harder for the Monsterhouse to actually grab her, but we do have to keep in mind that the Monsterhouse does not go down easily. It has been shown that if you don't destroy the chimney, it could just reform itself. And even though it is clear that the Indominus Rex is the smartest dinosaur ever created in Jurassic Park or world, I don't see it figuring out that the chimney is her heart. For the humans to figure it out in this movie, the gang had to go on their own and go talk to the one guy who was obsessed with video games and figure out that the chimney was connected to her heart. Yeah. And if humans can't figure it out immediately, I don't see any reason why a dinosaur, even a smart one, would figure it out in minutes. So it probably would get eaten. However, there is a way that the Indominus Rex actually could win. Now, technically, this way, any dinosaur can win. Although I see this happening with the Indominus Rex more times than the other dinosaurs, considering how fast she is. And basically how it goes is that while the Indominus Rex is destroying the first stage, the chimney comes down. And even though it doesn't get completely destroyed, the Indominus Rex steps on it while it's continuing to smash it, thus not having the house come back to life. And like I said, any of the dinosaurs can...
I would ask, what's your favorite, Decepticons or Autobots? Comment down below, city.
Actually do this, but the Indom has a level of speed and especially agility that the others lack, especially the Giga. The one who's probably closest is the Spinosaurus, although I still see it getting eaten. And I also still see the Indominus Rex getting eaten, because the chimney would have to fall in the right place, and more times than not, I see the Monsterhouse coming...
I gotta go, guys.
That's okay, continue.
I'm glad you said your name. I wouldn't have been able to pronounce it, love.
Coming back to life and repeating what it did to the other dinosaurs. So given this, with around mid to high difficulty, because I do think there is a chance that the Indom wins by stepping on the chimney, Monsterhouse moves on to its last opponent, the mutant himself, aka the D-Rex.
Now, kind of an overrated villain in my opinion.
I know I said that the Giganosaurus is probably the most debated dinosaur in the whole entire community, but the D-Rex definitely comes in second, because there's a lot of debate around this thing, and if it's the strongest dinosaur in the whole verse, or if it's just completely overrated. Probably the most debated thing about it is its actual size, because it does seem that this thing is actually really inconsistent. If you look at the size of the D-Rex on the wiki and other sources, it will tell you that this thing comes in at around 26 feet. However, in the movie, we see that's actually possibly higher. And I would actually just like to give a little mention and a slight thanks to my boy JS Battles, because he did actually figure out the size of the D-Rex in the specific helicopter scene. And long story short, using the helicopter as a base, the D-Rex would measure in at around 82 feet. And I guess I will throw up that one Reddit post that keeps going around that actually does show the size comparison. But point being is that the D-Rex's size in the movie is really inconsistent. So we can either use a version that
Why is the D-Rex such a fucking kaiju?
looks to be about 26 feet, or we can use a version that looks to be about 82 feet. But just for the hell of it, I'm actually just going to use both here and tell you what I think would happen if either of them were to face off against the Monster House. So we'll start off with the one that's 26 feet tall. Now for this, I'm still going to use all the feats that they previously performed, and those are stopping a truck with one hit, tearing up a helicopter while also seemingly being able to take the blades to the mouth and throwing the helicopter pretty far. Now I probably sound like a broken record by now, but like the other dinosaurs, the first stage of the Monster House, it's going down pretty easily. And at this point, let's be honest, we're just wondering about that second stage, and if one of these dinosaurs can actually finally get past it. But there is an obvious flaw with the D-Rex that a previous dinosaur suffered from, and that is stiffness. Even though the D-Rex is very strong, he is incredibly stiff, and honestly, probably the slowest out of all the five. And with that bulky head and plump body, unfortunately for the D-Rex, he would be very easy to grab, as well as he wouldn't really put up too much of a fight, since the Monster House would have a clear overhead view of him and would just be able to grab him from the back or from the head and just drop it in its mouth and digest it. So the 26 feet version is pretty much just fodder. But what about the one that's 82 feet tall? Well, for anybody rooting for a dinosaur to finally win, even though that this is a mutant, I have some good news for you, because I actually do think that this would be the first time that one of them would win. You see, the problem with the other dinosaurs is that in the second stage, the Monster House has its furnace on top of its head, and none of the dinosaurs are really tall enough to reach it, and don't really have the intelligence to figure out that that is actually her heart. But since this version of the D-Rex is 82 feet tall, it would have a clear overhead view of the chimney, and have the capability of pretty much just smashing it like it did the truck. And down is really the only way it can punch, considering that the house is only half of its height. So it would be much easier for the D-Rex to hit it and completely destroy the furnace, given the overhead view, especially because the chimney is nowhere near as strong as a helicopter or a whole truck. And even though Monster House might actually still have a strength advantage, the D-Rex would be too big to fit in its mouth, which would eliminate the house's capability of swallowing it. Now, like we mentioned, it could pull a Loki and Hulk and maybe just keep on smashing it onto the ground, but more times than not, I see the D-Rex just getting one really good shot to the top of the head and destroying the house for good. So there you go, Jurassic World fans. A dinosaur finally won. We did have to grant it some extreme levels of highballing, but nonetheless they did win. Now I did say that if the Monster House did in fact beat all the dinosaurs, that I would put them all together simultaneously and have them fight the Monster House. And since we did have to grant the D-Rex the ability to be 82 feet tall, what I'm going to do is that I'll take all 5 of the dinosaurs and have them go against the Monster House and just have the D-Rex be its 26 feet tall self, because we already established the one that's 2 feet tall would probably already win. Now unfortunately, I am running low on time, so I will have to keep this short, but basically, to answer the question, do I think all 5 of the dinosaurs, the Spinosaurus, Rexy, the Indominus Rex, Giganosaurus, and the D-Rex could all beat Monster House working together? Well, my answer is yes. And the main reason why I would say yes,
I think no personally.
is because I do feel like the number of dinosaurs would be a little too much for the Monster House to handle. If it's just one of them, then the Monster House could just easily pick it up and eat it. But since there are 5 of them, what I see happening is that they all attack the Monster House at the same time, and since the house can't keep up with the rest of the dinosaurs, what happens is that eventually it starts getting smashed to pieces, and even if it reaches its second stage, this assuming of course the dinosaurs didn't destroy the chimney in the first fight, I don't see the house surviving the next encounter either, since eventually the dinosaurs would smash up the house so much that the furnace would eventually come down, and one of the dinosaurs is bound to either step on it or just destroy it by some means. So yeah, just to sum it all up, if the D-Rex is 26 feet tall, then the Monster House would clear all of Jurassic World, minus the Mosasaurus of course. But if we grant the D-Rex's height of 82 feet tall, then it would most likely win, and if all the dinosaurs came at it all at once, more likely than not, one of them is bound to destroy the chimney, causing them to win. But I would say, overall, this is a win for the Monster House, else because of its ability to solo almost all of them. And yeah, with that, thank you guys so much for watching. I had to kind of rush through this video, unfortunately, so there will be some things left out. But let me know what you guys thought. Let me know if you think I missed anything. And if you disagree, by all means, tell me about it in the comments section. Subscribe if you like, and I hope to see you all in the next video.
Happy Halloween, everyone. God bless and good night. Well, goodbye, guys. I'll see you all in the next terrifying part. Thank you all for watching.